Okay, now the next one will be Mario Golf Super Rush. There's not really much to talk about with this one, in fact. Barely anything, I should say. Ah, man, this is probably one of the most disappointing I have with this, because really not much content came out. I'm sorry if I sound like a bit of a downer on this case, but let me start by saying this. First off, the characters. The additional characters that came out from the following the original release were Toadette, Ninja, Cooper Trooper, Wiggler, and Shy Guy. Basically, your bare bones stuff in terms of characters. Not much to offer there. I mean, the stages themselves were a bit better with the additions of a snowland, well a desert world, and a theme place of Cooper Trooper. Sorry, I'm from looking up on my phone, but it's just helped me out. The two biggest ones were New Donk City and a level based on Mario Star from the original Mario Golf, and no, I'm kind of okay with that. But even then, I mean, it's a shame this wasn't as successful as say Aces was in terms of critically, because I reckon it could have got better stuff. But honestly, at the very least, when this game launched, it had a much better roster than say Mario Strikers Battle League. I'm going to eventually review that, but I don't know. I'm going to get to that at some point, I will admit. So yeah, Mario Strikers Battle League is at the future, but yeah, this definitely wasn't really a perfect game. So sorry. Yeah. In terms of content, I mean, it's alright, but I just wish it could have been more available. In terms of content that did improve the game a bit, would have been Chocobo GP. Not the first, this game, I think, definitely improved a lot from when it first came out with the additional stuff, but in a way, the two biggest additions were characters that, you had to obtain by purchasing, while the rest were free updates. Season 1, I think I addressed in my original review, were the additions of Cloud and Squall. And, well, they're fine. It's good to play with them. Honestly, Cloud's probably the best character in terms of everyone in the game. Counting its game's controls, which are pretty much close to 10 controls, it's still fine. I thought it was alright. The additional characters were, eh. I mean, you had these new, you had these other random created characters like Chip, Jailbirds, Ruffalo, Chroma, and Vol. Maybe they're in Vlog or whatever it is, I forget. Or Volg, who cares? No, probably in the Chocobo series in general, but I can't really say much about it. Although, they did add a new version of Sid, which, I don't know, it looks a bit like someone from one of the versions from the Final Fantasy Tactics series. I don't know, you have to take. Was there a Sid in the Final Fantasy Tactics series or Final Fantasy, you know, well, Tactics, I should say? Evilise at the very least? I can't really say. The other two characters were from season 3, which were Odin and Ultros, which, as a Final Fantasy 6 fan, I'm a huge fan of seeing Ultros again, especially with him riding Typhon. And Odin, surprisingly, wasn't actually in the base game because he's a pretty recognizable summon, so geez, you would think he would have shown up earlier. And the racetracks, the only two they added were the long guy from Final Fantasy 8 and, of course, Midgar's the last one from Final Fantasy 7. In terms of that, that's all you got, and silly at the very least. They were Midgar and the Long Guy were good tracks in general, and honestly, I had fun playing with them when I did. But yet again, while I improved a lot from the additional content improved Chocobo GP a bit, it still isn't enough to say it's better. I'm just saying. I can't say this is a perfect. They were enough to make the game better, but if you say it made it better for you, if you played it, go ahead. Say it. I don't care. What about now? This next game is much like Chocobo GP. I said this would more come by 11 was the last fighter, but got it wrong. Sorry. Here it is. Let's get to Nickelodeon All Star Brawl. And this is probably the one I would say, man, did it end too soon? Hmm. Why? And by that, I mean the content they did add before they decided to stop it was actually pretty good. I mean, when I first did the review at the time, they had just released for free updates Garfield and and the Shredder, which are decent picks, and the stages they brought in were pretty good. I mean, Garfield's Dream, Garfield's Sweet Dreams was a pretty decent stage, and Slime Time, which is based on the Nickelodeon TV's game show Double Dare, was okay. But the biggest thing they had, of course, the other major additions was the DLC pack they had, which had the additions of Jenny Wakeman from My Life as a Teenage Robot, Hugh Neutron from The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, and Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life, each with new stages based on them, with Trimmer, Morton, Joyride from for Jenny, Duck Duck Pie from for Hugh Neutron, and Hardcore Chores for Rocco. And honestly, these stages and the three characters were great choices, and I really enjoyed it. That's what made Nickelodeon All Star Brawl so great, is that it catered to hardcore Nickelodeon fans and both old, new, and in between. Much better than what PlayStation All Stars could come up with. The thing is, though, with the release of multiverses, it obviously killed off all momentum, and that's probably the most disappointing thing with it, is that this game could have had more to do. I mean, it could still, but with how things ended up going, future release of other games, it obviously killed off everything. And it's a shame too, because this was a pretty good imitation of Super Smash Brothers. Look, if the additional content does come out for this, it'll prove me wrong, but I think most people can agree it is done and buried. And again, it is very unfortunate because, as I said, Nickelodeon All Star Brawl is a good game. And well, hopefully they can make a sequel for this. Mo Nickelodeon's gone back to their kart racing formula, which their kart races 2 and recently 3 are decent, but this is probably the best Nickelodeon game since Nicktoons Battle for Volcano Island. Just saying. And finally, we get to the last one, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. And, hmm, well, let's get on to what I think is the best additional campaign of all the games I've played, revisited here. Let's talk about what I think was the best additional campaign added to any of these games, the Donkey Kong Adventure DLC. And returning to it explains why I love this so much. The Donkey Kong Adventure DLC was definitely such a great addition for the game. I just love looking at this, and well, yes, Sparks of Hope has definitely improved the formula, and changed it too. It still doesn't change the original game, which was great as well. So the Donkey Kong Adventure DLC takes place after the events after you complete the first chapter of Mario Plus Rabbids. Rabbit Kong arrives into Peach's castle after his defeat, and accidentally and the unwittingly assistance of Spiny activates the time washing machine, which transports himself, a bunch of rabbits, Rabbit Peach, and Beepo to Donkey Kong Isle, where you meet Donkey Kong and Rabbit Cranky. People would have wished to see Rabbit Diddy or Rabbit Dixie, but I don't know, Rabbit Cranky's pretty cool. I love, and so it's up to them to retrieve the missing parts of the washing machine and stop Rabbit Kong from enslaving the isle of corrupted bananas. Yeah, that's basically your story you get for this, and that's all you get. It's just basically completing all the same things as what you did in the base game, which is finding additional puzzle pieces, collectible chests, weapons, and seeing all the rabbits interact with Donkey Kong Isle. And you still get it's almost as basically a small bite-sized version of the main game, which in itself is which was jam-packed with content that most people would have not expected. And after you complete that story, you get to do these additional challenges with these rabbits that show up on the Banana Lagoon, which is the hub world, basically akin to Peach's Castle. Quite as detailed, but for being a smaller DLC campaign, they understood how things went. Grant Kirkhope, of course, returned to do the soundtrack for the DLC, and considering he remixes a lot of his Donkey Kong 64 tracks, it's just even better for me as well, because I love DK64 no matter how long it took for me to complete that game. I like it's just a way of I just love this island, and I much like the base game, I 100% completed all problem, and I loved every minute of it. Just look at it. I went all in on this, and I have no issue saying why I didn't stop. Thought there was additional content added with for the main game as well, additional challenges to complete and all that, and they're good enough to incentives to keep playing them. I don't feel like showing them again because I just spent enough time as it is playing this game, and I was impressed. Just and just returning to them, even playing them for a little bit earlier, was enough for me to realize just how much I enjoyed this game for what it is. But honestly, as much as I like this, for what it was, the additional content added to the base game, nothing could compare to the the DK Adventure DLC. Detail of this game is the fact that when you start off the game, if you're playing Mario plus Rabbids campaign, you get the opening from the original game that you recall. But when you complete the DK64, when you activate DK Adventure, entirely new main menu. That's pretty cool. I just love details like that. And this is why I just love this game so much in in the whole DK Adventure DLC. I know, and I liked everything in it. It still remains one of my favorite Switch games, and I'm pleased to see that see that Sparks of Hope matched up to it. Maybe it was. I don't know if it's fully the disappointment that Ubisoft says it is, but I really hope that with the DLC for Sparks of Hope, it can match what I got from here. I mean, it's going to be a lot more of what I want, like from the first from the first game. So you never know. And I definitely will be talking about that DLC in the whole entire game when that's all done. Expect that, but expect a review of Sparks of Hope when we get to that, probably at the end of the year. And with that said, I thank you for joining for me for this DLC roundup. I enjoyed looking back on those 9 games I did, and it's nice talking about them again and having more to discuss. Of course, as I said at the start of this video, I will be doing something separate for the Smash Bros. Ultimate stuff, DLC I should say, but that's going to be a special sort of video and maybe more in a series, so I'm going to save that for later. And besides, I got someone else wants to join me in on that, and I'm waiting for him to be available. But with that said, I am done talking about DLC campaigns, and I think I need to return to doing movie reviews. And I think I know exactly where I'm going to go to next. Hmm. Could be could could be said I wish it was in better quality, but better quality of a film. But you know, I kind of know what I'm going to do next, and actually, I kind of know what my next couple of videos will be. And one of them may be probably as big of a project as this was. Maybe not as long though, because this has probably been one of my longest videos ever. But with that said, I shall see you next time. So this is Hazard from Hazard Reviews out, and I shall see you next time. Ciao.